attendees from 65 countries. So as usual, the webinar will be presented by our Director of International Sales, Dr. Melissa Cow. And like the previous webinars, everyone is muted, but you can ask questions in the chat at any time. We will try and answer your questions if time allows, but if we cannot answer your question, we will make sure to follow up in an email. So at the end of the webinar, all the attendees will receive their certificate and voucher. So make sure you put your name down and your company name so we can make sure to send out the certificates and vouchers to you. So I will now hand over to Melissa, who will deliver the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Good morning from the UK here. Thank you again for joining. We do have a lot of attendees again today, so welcome. And from different countries, so very well. I will go into the presentation now. If you couldn't see my screen, please do raise up to the panelists here. And if you do have any questions, do raise it up. We will answer as we go along. Let's start. I will be sharing my screen now. Bear with me. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. So today we're going to talk about the shopping mall analytics. What the purpose of this webinar is for us to learn how people counting systems can benefit shopping malls on there. So it's not a new thing for shopping malls. I think a lot of malls, some of them have already got people counting for a while, but what we're wanting to look at is also a more holistic way view of all the other functions and different data metrics that we can provide to shopping malls and how they could use those metrics to do action plan, to increase their footfall or increase their traffic and improve the competition in the market. And then they can track the progress of that. So it's for them to how to discover they can how the people counting system help understand customer behavior and to achieve the market positions and for them to optimize operations. So this webinar will cover, I won't cover too much of the technical thing about the devices, but I'll cover more on the use cases and the features and the integration with other devices and system for an enhanced customer experience. As Jyoti has mentioned, we will be issuing voucher and the certificate after this webinar, and also invite you to the upcoming webinar. So what are the challenges for shopping mall? For example, one is they want to better understand their shoppers. Who are they? And then when they come in, where did they go? And are they happy? So what FootfallCam people counting and demographic solution could help is for them to count the number of shoppers in each different area, the zones, and also their demographics. So so when you have your demographic, for example, here, what is the demographics of the catchment area? So in where your location is, the surrounding catchment area, what are the demographics? Do you have a lot of young people or a family, or you're more, if you're a more city center, or near a lot of offices? Are they more professionals and working people? So what are the demographics? And then you can see what are your missed opportunity. So with this, the demographics, you can see, can I increase specific segment? So maybe you are in an area with a lot of family and you want to increase the number of teenagers coming to shop at your mall. Could you increase this specific segment? So FootfallCam population density and demographics map could help you to identify your potential market size and also your relative market positioning. So if you add a young fashion alley in your mall, are you able to, do you see an increase in footfall to that area, to that zone? And are you increasing the number of teenagers coming to shop? Yeah. So a third challenge is our marketing spends having the expected ROI for short term and long term. So for you spend a lot of money in your marketing, the different type of campaign A and campaign B, which one is more effective, and whether this campaign is actually bringing you the ROI. So with the FootfallCam, you can track your ROI for each event. And are we making, we are making the upgrades and changing the store locations. Do they yield positive results? So you have made your refurbishment, you have relay out your mall. Are they doing what you need? So FootfallCam can help you track the long-term trends of your shopper behaviors, so you can quantify the effectiveness of your project, of your initiative. This is more operation, so you need to ensure you have the right level of staff for the footfall, for the shoppers that come in. So you don't want to be understaffed, then it's not going to have a good customer experience. You equally don't want to be overstaffed, because then obviously that's that increased cost. So we have the FootfallCam washroom app for the cleaning based on demand. So you do a demand-based cleaning rather than a scheduled cleaning that will make your costs more effective. And facility management dashboard could all help you to minimize your operation costs at the agreed SLA. So you're keeping the SLA with the most optimized operation costs. So with our solution, the end result would be the FootfallCam people counting system could help your shopping malls to understand your shoppers. Then you allow you to use that understanding and data to create your action plan, and then you track the ROI and the effectiveness of your initiative. So I'll go through briefly about the products that you'll be using. So an overview, we do have a range of devices. We have a catalog of products. It is to cater for different use cases. So each counting technology, they have the pros and cons, they have the purpose where they are using them. So combining them will give you the granularity and the flexibility and in the most cost-effective way. So a lot of you are familiar with the Pro 2. This is our most popular selling. So this one, usually you put it at the entrances. It is highly accurate and it uses 3D stereo vision to count. Centroid is one which is very popular for open space, big area, and also very cost effective in terms of infrastructure, because you can reuse your existing CCTV onto the Centroid, so giving you all those added data. FaceCam is for we are for demographic, so we can measure the gender, the age group, and so forth. Mini is for the washroom, and Meshup is one that is a networking device to connect to the Mini and the other devices. So a little bit more detail here. So with Pro 2, you install it on the ceiling, and it is generating a 3D depth map like here. So it is very high resolution depth map. You can you see the people there. So this is for queue counting, but that's how it is generating the depth map. It's very so it's privacy. So there's no personal data that you can get there, and you can see it's very high resolution. We can even look at the very fine, like the barrier, the rope that you know, surrounding this queue section. So it is a 3D stereo vision. It has a wide coverage of 105-degree GDPR compliant because there's no video recorded. It's edge technology. We count immediately based on the depth map there, and it's very, very highly accurate at 99% accuracy. And we obviously prove it as well with a certificate. Now, it is suitable for the entrances as the escalator and elevator area. We have more data sheet, so do click on it to look at them. So Centroid. Now, Centroid leverages your existing CCTV camera system for area and crowd counting, and it uses AI video analytics. So it is using an NVIDIA deep stream. It's very highly accurate, very powerful AI video analytics there. We can reuse existing surveillance IP camera, so then you save costs on that, or you can connect it with any compatible IP camera out there. We do have a minimum spec requirement, most IP camera nowadays would be able to fulfill that minimum requirement. Now you can connect up to 8 cameras with one centroid. It is also very accurate, is 90%. It's already very accurate for a AI analytic. The beauty of this is that it can count a very big area with a very big crowd. It is suitable for aisle and crowd counting. I can show you a bit of a video there. So for corridor on a shopping mall, so you can count how many people go to the east wing and how many go to the west wing. So you can count. You can also define different zone. So you know how many people walk on this aisle. So as you can imagine, you can see it's a very wide area that we can cover, a very open space. You can count number of people in an area. So that's with centroid. The next device is the FaceCam. So again, it's utilizing AI video analytics. FaceCam is capable of detecting the facial attributes. We do the gender, age, and as in age group. So are they teenager, young adults, and elderly? So it's using AI image analytics. We're using the Microsoft AI. So you can count the gender, the mood, whether or not they're happy or the neutral expression, and the age group. It's very cost effective and it's small. It's very flexible. You can move it around, so you can put it at this entrance today, and 3 months later you want to count demographic in a different zone. It's very flexible. It wirelessly connect via Bluetooth with our Pro 2. So usually you will install the Pro 2 at the entrance, and then the FaceCam at the face level facing the entrance usually. Then you can just very flexible on that. It is still GDPR compliant because we don't store those images. We're using a facial attributes to determine the gender, the mood, and the age. It is suitable for demographic analysis. So we have a data sheet there to look at. Mini, the 3D Mini, we put it at the entrance of the washroom, so you can count number of people going into the washroom, so you can generate task alert to send it to the staff when a certain number of people have used the washroom, so you can do demand-based cleaning. It is using a time-of-flight technology. It has a narrow coverage, but it's very suitable for a washroom entrance, which is usually one single door entrance up to 1 meter. So it can go very low height, so you can mount it at a low ceiling. It's very cost effective. Again, it's an anonymous counting because there's no camera there. It's using a time of flight. It's suitable for washroom usage counting. Now, in this webinar, we're not going to talk about the smart washroom. It will be in a separate webinar, but a lot of shopping malls, they do use smart washroom because that is part of the facility that they need to manage. So a mesh hub, this is a networking standard. It is a device to use to connect to all our other devices, as well as third-party IoT device as well, to create a standalone network layer. So we don't have to piggyback on the corporate LAN or the Wi-Fi network. So from the mesh hub, it could also daisy chain using RS485 to provide power to the 3D Mini. It can support quite a lot of devices there, and it generates a separate network so that you don't have to worry about talking to the mall, compromise your corporate security. That's the document for the mesh up there as well. So the use cases in the shopping mall. So it will be quite a lot of multi-functions. The main one at the entrance, usually this is phase 1. You put Pro 2 at the main entrances, so you can count footfall coming in, at what time, when is your peak, which day. You can compare year-on-year data. You can also see whether or not your marketing campaign is effective on there. Combine it with demographic analysis at the entrance, and also maybe at different zone. You can get an added level layer of information about what age group is coming to your mall, what kind of gender, what demographic they are. You can also then install into the different zones. So as long as you enclose the different key entrances, then you can demarcate the zone. So you have the zone traffic counting. You can see whether, how many people are going to the sports zone or your luxurious routes. Are you drawing a lot of traffic there? And like, for example, maybe you have a young fashion pink zone. So how are you drawing people there? What kind of demographic are going into there? Are you attracting young people, teenager to that, creating a very trendy zone. So you can also do other functions like smart washroom, and you can also count the aisle, corridor, and crowd counting, and you can reuse your existing CCTV system. This one allows you to reduce your infrastructure costs because you are utilizing the existing infrastructure to get more data to give you meaningful metrics. So how does people counting work? So for example, if you put it on your entrance, if I show you there, so that is Pro2 at the entrance, you're counting number of people coming in and out, as we mentioned, then you know your peak hour and so forth. And also it does count very accurately in high traffic volume. A lot of malls, they have entrances from for people coming from underground, public transport area. So when the train arrives or the underground arrives, then you will have a surge of people going in. So it does count very accurately for high traffic. In here, so for different escalator, you can draw different line. So you can also see, as people come up to this floor, do they turn left, go straight, or go right? Sorry, right, straight, and left. So you can split. You can see where the traffic go. If a lot of people are turning right, you might be able to say, okay, the rental rate on the right hand side is slightly higher to the left because that's where people by default they go on to the right hand side. Or you can put a advertising signage here and encourage your tenant to advertise on it because you have quite a lot of people turning this side for that. So those is when you put it at the entrances, then of course, then this is the first phase, you get the number of people going into the whole zone. And then when you enclose different key entrances, you add more counters in the for the different zone, then you can separate them into west wing, east wing, and you can then count footfall that way. Now, demographic analysis. So you use a face cam, so you can capture the facial attributes. Is using the AI video analytics, as we mentioned, and you give you these different metrics there in here. So you can see that this is a young adult, a male, and he has a neutral expression and so forth. And this one is a young female and also a neutral expression and so forth. So so this is how the face can work. And there's a video link here, then you can have a look there. So using existing CCTV to combine with Centroid, then it's suitable for zone counting. A lot of malls, you already have CCTV camera, and you might have a very big area and a long corridor where you don't have a defined entrance. So you wouldn't use the Pro2, but you will use a Centroid combining with a CCTV or an IP camera. So you're using also outdoor areas. So outdoor, you won't have a ceiling. So you'll be mounting a camera on the wall, and then you can count an area like that. So for example, in here, so this is a big atrium. So you can draw all those counting, like you can demarcate your zone. So you're only counting number of people in here. So this is how it's detected. So for example, today, there's not much going on. These are all passerby, but sometimes you can have event, you might have a fashion show in here, or an Easter event that you have a family event here, then you can count number of people there and area counting and how long they stay in there for the event. And likewise, I've shown you this video. So this is, you can count at the corridor going up and down. So this, the video links are here. You can look at that too. This is what I mentioned about the demand-based washroom cleaning. I won't go into too much detail here, but it's very popular because this is one of the facility that the mall needs to provide, and it also affects the customer experience because if you have a not well cleaned toilets, then people may not like to come to your mall. But if you have it over clean, then you are affecting your costs there. So it's demand-based cleaning, and you can also measure SLA and a auditable cleaning fee. You are improving your shoppers' experience there. So analytics. So what kind of things they can get from the data? So the data modeling, we combine different data from the different devices and the zone configuration, and then you can get meaningful metrics in here so you can model and gauge the state of the business, create some action plan, and then you can track its progression. For example, from here, you have all the different devices, Pro 2, Centroid, and so forth, the data that you're getting your footfall, the group size, and we also count group size. So for example, we count all the footfall, you know, in a day you have 1,000 people come into your mall, but you have 400 groups, and how many percentage are group of 2, how many percentage are group of 6. So you can have that. We also do child counting. You can either exclude them or you count them. When you're counting them, you can also, the group that comes to children, you can define them as families. And use the gender, age, and all this, and you can segmentize them into, you know, whether or not they are teenagers. So how many visitors are teenagers, how many are adults, and how many are elderly. You can also check the mode of transport coming into your mall based on the entrances. So some entrances are from the car park entrance, then you know that these how many percentage of your visitor that come into your building, your mall, they come in through the car park entrance. Then they come in by cars, and those that comes from the public transport entrances, and you can, you know, separate them, and those that comes on from your ground floor, from the high street, you can consider them coming in by foot. They might be shopping nearby and also then come to your mall. So you can distinguish them, and then you can do things accordingly for that. And shop activities, there's a majority of your visitor go, so you have 1,000 visitors, and you have 700 people also go to the cinema zone. So if you counted that, then you have 70% of visitors going into the cinema zone. Or at office lunchtime, between that time on a weekday, 55% of visitors spend time in the food court and the restaurant and the food and beverages area. Or on a weekday night and weekends, 80% of a visitor go to your grocery zone. So they are the essential buyer. They come here to buy essential. Or you have 65% of the weekend shoppers are in the pink zone and the apparel zone. So these are young or fashion shoppers. And likewise for your luxuries goods, where do they go to your luxury zone and so forth. And what your questions would be is, what is our market share in our catchment area? This is very important for a lot more. You want to estimate your market shares and compare it to your competitor, and you want to profile them. You want to profile your demographics. So in your catchment area, you know, what are the profile of them? How many family, you know, is the population? How many families are in the population? Or are they young professionals or things like this? So you want to categorize the demographic of them coming in from the catchment, the population, and how them coming in, and you can do your competitive analysis. So, for example, in here, you come to your V9, and this is your population in your catchment area. You can draw your population. You can draw your so you can draw a different zone if you like, and so forth. So you can mark that and count that. I'm just going to clear that. And you can zoom in and out and look at that, and you will find yourself there. And also these are your competition. Then you can see that this is a different precinct, and you have a shopping mall, and you have your other shopping mall. Those are your other competitor there. For example, if this this is you, and you have supermarkets as well. So you can look at that, and you can look at your demographics in your catchment area. So this we get demographic data. So you can benchmark. So you can say, okay, how many, what are your demographic, male, female, how many percentage of, what are the age group, and what is your market share? This is your actual footfall compared to the potential footfall. So of course, then there is some estimation of how many percentage of the population will shop at, how often and so forth. And this is your own footfall, and maybe you still have quite a lot of potential that you can improve of. And this is your competitive analysis. This is that is your footfall, and that is your demographic breakdown, and where they come in by the different entrances. And you are more specialized in luxury retail, for example, maybe, and then compared to all the other malls in your area, and so forth. So what you could do is you look at your population, and then you analyze, and you say, okay, I might have a missed opportunity of that much, so I'm going to do some promotion to increase my footfall. And you do your profiling. Maybe 60% of your shoppers in Reading visited the Oracle. So this one, you can then talk to potential tenant. You want to go and sell it to the retailers to say, look, if you want to capture the people in this catchment area, you should have your flagship shop in our mall, because 60% of the shopper in the area, they do shop at our mall. So they then you can you can sell it to your potential your prospect tenant. You can also set a target. So currently you have 40,000 people of family coming in, and you have found that your catchment area have a lot of family. You might want to say, okay, we set a target. We want to increase that by 8% by end of this year. So you will have some initiative on there. And then you can have tracker. So you might want to install a car park cam to see also, if, usually family comes in the transportation mode, maybe they come in car, and then you want to see in a car park cam, you can also look at the make and model of the cars that are coming in, from the entrance in the car park, what are the family size, the group of people coming in. Another action plan, you might want to have more family oriented type of shops in your mall. You might want to promote and pull more that type of retailer coming in, have more pet shop, have more toy shop, and so forth on there. So now then it's demographic. Who are my shoppers? So you can measure the number of shoppers, compare it with the current footfall. You can compare current footfall versus previous period, and compare it with predicted footfall, and then you can see if I've done an initiative or a campaign, does it make any difference? And you can profile your shoppers between weekdays and weekend. Is it different demographic? We would assume it is, but what and dwell time, when is a peak hour, and so forth. And you can also track the progress. So you can click on here to look at a bigger screen. So for example, this is your profile, this is your operating hours, and this is your footfall. So that's your footfall, and that's the predicted potential footfall. Then you are actually doing better than what it was predicted. Then that is very good. So something happened this week that maybe you have done a little bit more promotion on that, and you have exceeded your expectation. That is good. And this is the average dwell time, whether or not is added, is improved compared to last week or last month or last year. You can compare that, and you find your busiest hour. So in this one is actual footfall versus predicted. So we do predict based on historical data, so historical based on last year, and also last month, and also what's happening this week in the last few days. We give you a prediction. So we give you a minimum, the predicted footfall, a range, a minimum to a maximum, and what is the actual footfall that you're getting. So over time, obviously, this also get adjusted. The prediction will become more accurate, and you can also see that one, of course, with the prediction, you can do staff road roster, and but it also make you plan whether or not you want to have a campaign when your predicted footfall is quite low, and so you want to do something to improve that. Your footfall footfall distribution by the different entrance type. So how many percentage comes in by the footbridge entrance? So you have a connection with other buildings. Which one comes in from a tower, maybe in an office tower? So maybe your mall is actually serving those people who goes to work. Maybe most that probably would be more food and beverages, and also essential. They come down to get the grocery before they go home and things like this. So your main entrance and your taxi station entrance, so that then you can see the mode of transport. So this is where you see the breakdown of how people come into your mall. Your shopper profile. So how many of them are family type? So those are the group that have children in their group. How many are couple, how many are teenagers or young adults, and how many elderly. So you can have a breakdown of this demographic. You can also have breakdown for your footfall by the floor. So you naturally ground floor have more, but you will find that your lower ground floor actually has slightly more than your first floor, and so forth. And also by the shop category, you have departmental store or your supermarket, your food and beverages, and so forth. So you can see which one are more your important segment, or the shop category, or if you're finding not a lot of people going to that section, is it because the type of shops you have there are not attractive enough? Or if you don't have a lot, you did that section half-heartedly, then of course then people are not attracted to that area. So you might want to do some improvements, some initiation on there, and so forth. So we also link with weather, so you can have a weather forecast. When you have a sunny day, how many people are coming? Even when you have thunderstorm, obviously you have half of it, but not too bad. You still have people coming in, and so forth. On there. So you can measure. So your current footfall is 270. Your predicted was that you actually have 10% more on top of what is predicted, which is good. Shopper profiling on a Friday night, you have a lot of percentage a moviegoer. Saturday morning, a lot of them are essential shopper. Then you can do your target tracking. You set a target and then you can track it. So maybe you do initiation, you have a track more of those young fashion, very trendy fashion, H&M and Zara to come in, and you notice that you have an increase in a 15%, quite a significant increase of teenage shopper at a weekend. So well done, that initiative has worked. Now then you can also look at where do my shoppers go as they come in, and what do they do? So you can measure the passerby on your corridor, the dwell time in each area. You can profile their shopping activity, and so that you can justify your tenant rental rate, looking at this zone analytics. So you can you can drill down to the different zone. Then you can look at footfall at the different zone there. And you can look at the zone ranking per floor on there, and you look at the dwell time, how long actually they stay there. So you can justify the rental to the tenant and say, actually, I do get, even though if you don't have a very high dwell time, but I do get you a lot of footfall into there. So you probably need to do a little bit more for your own shop. So you can tell your tenant why you're increasing your rent, or you give them a bit more support. So you might say, okay, this is a big area, we don't have a lot of people coming in here. Maybe you do some promotion. You give them voucher as they come in. If they shop in here, you get 10%. You can 1 hour free parking and things like this. So you can you can then plan the action to see how you can support your tenant and so forth. So you can look at that. And so you have your zone analytics, for example, your food court, your different zone, food court, you have increased 8% and so forth. And you profile your shopping activity again, how many have visited the young apparel area, and the dwell time is how long. And then you can do your rental justification. You can, the ground floor lobby has over 15,000 people passing by. So it is suitable for cafe and cosmetic stores. So you can go and talk to cafe and say, why don't you come here and open up a cafe? We have the footfall to bring good business to you, and so forth. So what is the ROI? So now you have an event, you created your campaign, you have your promotions, you want to measure the ROI. So you want to quantify the demographic group, the dwell time, and the spend versus the event investment. So you want to compare, you also compare the different ROI for different events, so you can see which event is more effective for you. So for example, in here, in this, so you can post event evaluation dashboard. So you have a dashboard like this. Again, you're looking at your different zone. Then you can look at the total, the footfall you want to compare it with the predicted one. So for example, here the line, which is this is the actual for the time that has passed, that is your so the line is a predicted footfall. The bar is the actual footfall. So we are predicting, because you might have a school holiday or a long weekend that is coming up. So you're predicting the footfall to go up anyway, but your event is actually very effective because you have actually more than what is predicted. So then that is telling you you have a very effective event. But if it's not, then that event is not so effective. So you can measure it that way. So this is, for example, this is the event period, and you want to measure before the event, so, and then after the event as well. So that is your evaluation period. So this is how you would look at this dashboard, and then you can look at all the different zone when you have event and when you don't have event, and what is the footfall you have versus predicted footfall. You have increased 26%. So that's quite significant. But for the homeware store, you have reduced. So maybe your event was for some other, maybe for fashion, because we can see that this is the most area. So you're drawing the crowd to that area. So it's very effective. But probably from the homeware, they are seeing that is a decrease on that. So, so you can look at your event period, the number of shoppers. So you're noticing there are more female shoppers who stay more than 4 hours when the event is on. And you can, for the ROI evaluation, more specifically, for example, you can measure for the last 2 family type events. So you can have different type of event. Again, you can categorize those different events, and then you can compare the same type of event. There is indeed an increase of 35% in the family group shoppers. So, so you can see whether or not that tally with your initiative. So then you can predict the footfall for the next family event. What would that be? How many would that have? And so forth. Now, you can also look at, are your shoppers getting the right level of services? So this you can have it here, a live operational dashboard. So you can look at number of people there now, so we call it occupancy. How many people are on ground floor? How many people are on the first floor? So your security guard, so this is more operation. So your security guard, maybe they need to move to second floor to make sure they are not overcrowded. You kind of maintain the flow of people and so forth. So you know where to deploy your security staff. And the washroom. So washroom is the smart washroom, as we mentioned. So you can see, okay, first floor will need to deploy my cleaners to the first floor now, because that has you know, for some reason, a lot of people have used that toilets there now, so it's time to clean. So again, you can deploy your cleaners, and also other amenities. So sometimes you might have a prayer rooms, your nursing room. So do you need to clean, or do you need to have member of staff there to help facilitate, to provide a customer service there, or your concierge desk? Maybe a lot of people suddenly, you know, are asking for direction or asking for details of event and all those. So you have an action log, so you can predefine what action it will be if it reaches a threshold, who you will send the alert to, what you should be doing. So this is very powerful, and it's very convenient to the operating team. So you have real-time task alert when the SLA is breached. So you help your staff to maintain within the SLA. So resources reallocation and also tracking when you reallocate them, have those services improve. and so forth. Now, a lot of clients, they use the footfall data for staff roster planning. So you're matching the staff planning based on the predicted footfall for the coming weeks, and then you can track the work progress, whether or not, and then whether or not it matches with the demand, with the footfall, and you can then review the service provided, whether or not it meets the SLA required. You can click on this as well, and then you can look at that. So these are the last 14 days count, and this is your next 14 days count. So you peak at a different time, on your day, and then this is where you can suggest a schedule. So we suggest you have how many number of staff, and then their shift on there, and then their break time, so forth. And then this is your actual planning, and what have the costs you have incurred. And then you can then review whether or not that planning, what you actually had compared to the schedule. What is the discrepancy? How much difference it is, and then so it helps you to improve for future planning. And on there. So you can say, for example, this is your predicted footfall, the number of cleaners is required like this. So as you progress through the day, you found that the washroom usage is normal, is as predicted, 90, and then you found that 90% of your washroom cleaning tasks are completed within 30 minutes. This is wonderful. And so you will say that, then you can review, and you found that this is very good. 95% of that is within SLA, and 5% were breaching SLA, whether or not this is acceptable. Or you can readjust your schedule for next week to see if that improves on there. So all the different type of reports, you have seen what the dashboard would be. So the dashboard is allow you to do all the analytics, review, and action plan. Of course, then you have all these reports, which is on our V9, of course. Then you're looking at for example, the building dashboard, how many people are now in my shopping mall. You can outlook floor plans, your schematic diagram, so it gives you a visual impact as well, where people are at this moment in time in real life, in real time, and your total occupancy of your whole block, and the distribution of your occupancy on the different floor. You can then drill down. If I say I want to go to first floor or second floor, you can then drill down to the floor dashboard on there, so you can then also look at the different zone on this floor, where the zone, what is the occupancy on there. You can also drill down to that zone, or you can have an occupancy dashboard for your different malls. So if you have a group of malls and you want to have a real-time monitoring, now how is my mall doing? Some of my malls are closed today and some are open. Which one are okay footfall? Which one is getting busy? Which one is really busy, which is a good thing. But you might need to then deploy. You need to make sure your personnel are there, maintaining the flow of the traffic, and monitoring the crowd, of course, so you can have that. And so these are the different reports. I won't go through it one by one, but you will have it there, so you can click on the link. So all the different reportings that you can go through. So you have also management reports. So your reports also can split down to those that are in charge of departments, so a certain department, and those are in charge of obviously each mall manager. Maybe they in charge of a different mall. You can also have it at a company level, your group level that are looking, and also the different department like the cleaning and so forth, and the marketing. So now talking about deployment, usually the plan one, it will be an essential system, essential solution. So this one will be, you probably be installing the Pro 2 at your entrances, or at your main entrances. So you have a big entrance here, you have two maybe car park entrance, and then you have a public transport entrance. So you will be installing the Pro 2 there. It's very cost effective. With this covering all your entrances, you can already monitor the number of people visited the mall at what time, and where they come in from, so which kind of transporting mode they come in from. Then the second is usually a more standard one. A lot of more goes to this plan. So you have again the Pro 2 at your entrances. entrances. So you monitor the number of shoppers that come in, and then you utilize the existing CCTV camera with Centroid. You connect them with the Centroid, and then you can monitor the number of shoppers in the key area of the mall already. So if I go through it a bit bigger here. So these are your existing CCTV that you have there. So you can measure people that go down this corridor, that corridor, come into this zone, and so forth. And then you would put face cam as well. So the face cam pointing towards the entrance, so you can get demographic of people coming in from these entrances. So you can do your path tracking zone. This is the path tracking zone, and you can also do your event tracking zone, which is here using that CCTV camera there. So you can do that. And the third plan is more an advanced enterprise level. So you have your Pro 2 entrance and your Centroid connecting to your CCTV, your face cam for your demographic at the key entrances. You then add 3D Mini and Mesh Up at the washrooms. So this one you can monitor your facility usage and the cleaning management. So those are the added Mini and Mesh Up in your washrooms there. So cabling, so the different cabling method for the different devices of Pro 2, you will be using Ethernet cable, Cat5, Cat6, is power over Ethernet. So you connect it to a PoE switches and then connect to the router, go on to the internet. So this is how you connect with that. It is only counting data that is being transmitted because it's an edge technology. We do all the analytics on the device itself. So it's very low bandwidth, only counting data that's being transmitted there. Centroid, you will just need to connect with a network cable to your existing switch or your router, where your existing camera, your NVR are already connected to your network. So this is the part that you actually just needing to add. And it's very easy to deploy because you just put it in your IT cabinet. And one Centroid can support up to 8 CCTV camera, and it works in tandem with NVR as well, and most is IP camera on there. So then IoT devices, if you are installing Mini for the washroom or other ProWave we have, then we're using a Mesh Up which can provide power to the Mini, and for the data transmission, it goes through wirelessly to the Mesh Up. And from the Mesh Up, then it connects to, it either go on 4G mobile data, or it can connect to the LAN network, or it can go through LoRa to your other IoT gateway and go on to the internet that way. So it's very flexible and is a very low deployment cost, and you can cover a very, very big area and multiple buildings that way. We also connect via all these different connection methods, Zigbee, Bluetooth, LoRa, that works with other third-party IoT devices that uses this technology. So we have a floor plan designer. So for example, you will have a refurbishment and you might want to move your devices to other places. So you can come on the, it's very easy to change. You come onto the software, then you can upload a different floor plan. You can move the device. So these are all your device lists on this floor. You can then move them accordingly, the device serial number and so forth, and you name them accordingly. So this is very easy to change. You'll be able to, with a user with admin right, will be able to come in here and to update your floor plan accordingly. And then all the data will get grouped accordingly that way. You can do your zone configuration, your data monitoring, your data modeling there. So which devices group to a zone per area. So you will have, so for example, you have area group X. It's a combination of area A and B and so forth. And then so it's very flexible how you create your different zone and define the metrics you need for each area. Of course, there's no use if the data is not accurate. So it's very powerful dashboard you have there, a lot of metrics you can measure, a lot of action plan you can do. So we have another webinar that talks specifically about how you reach accuracy and how you maintain accuracy. In here, I'm just briefly going to talk about how we maintain that data integrity. So you have a system dashboard, and there you will have all aspects of your system. What is their availability, their accuracy, and any alerts and tracking of any support issues, then is all in here. It will reduce your training costs because you want to maintain the optimal system, even if your member of staff that maintain here. So you have usually your IT team who's going to maintain this system for you. And even if you have a change of personnel, the next person will be able to it's very comprehensive and very easy to use, very user-friendly. So the next person will be able to be on board very quickly. So you reduce your training costs, and all those knowledge is not lost. So it's also a faster response time. So it looks something like this. So in here, so your system dashboard, it will tell you your system management, your devices availability. So your number of your total number of devices is there. How many are offline? So when it's not 100%, there's something that you need to act on. So maybe some are known why they're offline because we took them down. We're going to on hold, the entrance is closed for the time being, and so forth. So your system status, the target is 99, at least 99% uptime. So now when was the scheduled report sent? When was the last sent? When was the last being imported? Your data and all that. One is when it was last backed up. Security, if there's any threats or no, this then can alert your cybersecurity team. Data management, so you want data readiness. So sometimes you will install a new camera, and then that new camera needs to be verified. How many of it have data accuracy concern? You have raised a concern in the support ticket, and we do a tuning. If there's any roadblock in tuning it, maybe because you suddenly have something that is blocking the view, so we will feedback to you and say, no, you have to remove the blockage and so forth. So this data management is very easy to see. You come in here, you already automatically calculate all the different devices that you have and combine. If you have integration, so you might integrate it with your other system, other facility management system, your BI system, and so forth, and data management and operations. So how many devices are being allocated, how many you need to return to us because it's faulty, and things for that, and things like this, and user management. So how many have created emailing lists so that any reporting is being created, scheduled to send to the management, and so forth, and your action logs and alerts. So anything that are read obviously will create an alert and an action log to an alert being sent to the relevant people, so forth. So you have that allows you to very easily manage your system, because you could have quite a lot of devices in your mall. So you want to make it as easy, and it shouldn't take up a lot of your time to maintain this system. A little bit more about accuracy audit. Again, we have a separate webinar on that, but it's just to tell you that for every single device, we do an accuracy audit, so that it's open and transparent. You can click on that for a sample of it. So we do video recording, so you can see it with a video proof that is actually counting at the set accuracy. So you can also schedule your video recording. You can compare the system count. You can generate video verification report. We also do a lot of other statistically, evidence with a very high sample size on there. So maintaining data integrity. So once you achieve the accuracy, you want to maintain it for years to come on a daily basis. So you have a data integrity report here. So it's telling you, this is more drilled down to the specific site, which, if it's operating, it's certified, or if you have some data that is not aggregated. So you have a site summary for the last 14 days. So maybe you have just installed the camera for this site now. It's telling you at that time the site is not certified. You do have data, but it's not certified. So those data you shouldn't use. And then throughout the 2 days, we have verified it, we have fine-tuned it, we have improved the accuracy. And at this point, where it is certified on that day. But on that day, you're not open. So therefore, you have no data and so forth. So it will give you all that. Now, this one, you have partial. That means the device is actually working, but the data is not aggregated. So this allows you to go and look at it, why they're not aggregated and so forth. So it gives you an overview very quickly of those, the status of all those, so you can recover any missing data. Maybe you have network issue on that day, half of the time you couldn't connect to the internet, and therefore you have missing data and the server could not aggregate. So when your network is back up, then you can trigger the action to re-aggregate the raw data and so forth. So this is a accuracy tuning webinar, so we'll have more details about that, so you can go on there. So integration, of course, again, integrating with your other software, your third-party software, which is very important. Then it makes it more powerful. Of course, we have a full API. Again, we have another webinar that goes through how the integration works, different ways of integrating. We can integrate with any third-party software, real-time as well, data retrieval. You can get data in raw format or aggregated format, and we allow the customized scripts. We also have an open architecture, so we support third-party smart sensors as well. So these are our FootfallCam devices. We can also support all third-party devices that connect via Bluetooth, Zigbee, or LoRa. So they can all connect with our mesh hub, and then we can all centrally upload it to our server for combined data analysis on there. We can also then send command or send data to any third-party system, BACnet, Modbus, to work with your HVAC. So if you don't have a lot of people shopping on the 5th floor, then maybe you can reduce your air conditioning there, things like this. So controlling HVAC, lighting, and so forth. So so it offers flexibility to work with a variety of different systems on there. Of course, then security, you can go through a bit more if you click on all this, that they will give you a bit more detailed of how we secure the connection between our different devices, and also between the devices to the internet. So I won't go through it in here, but we have all those details there. So privacy, this is important, of course, worldwide now, that this is it's not just GDPR is in the EU, but for worldwide everywhere. So data privacy is very high priority. So we installed the counters facing the ground, so we are actually looking at the top of the head, so we do not capture the entire of the customer, and we don't pick up their personal facial features, so there's no personal data there. And even when we are recording video for verification purposes, we specifically take them in low resolution so that we're exempt from the GDPR or any data privacy regulation. So again, we have a document in here, and then encourage you to download, and then it states out all the different methods that we use to make us compliant and actually exceeded the GDPR. So that's the end of my webinar. So it's a little bit long today. So I will pass it back to the host to see if you have. I believe those questions have been answered already. And if you've got any more questions, you can ask it now, but we'll probably be ending. And then if you still have questions, do encourage you to send an email and we'll respond accordingly.
Thank you everyone for joining.